Chapter 9. The White Stone Path. Zeno woke before dawn, his decision already made. He left the broken shield before the city fully woke, his pack secured and his second-place medal wrapped carefully at the bottom. Mara had been awake to see him off, pressing food into his hands with a knowing look. Following mysterious strangers into the forest, she'd said with a slight smile. Either very brave or very foolish. The north gate was quiet. Zeno passed through and found the path easily. A trail leading into the forest, marked at regular intervals with white stones that stood out against darker earth. His father had walked this path, had followed these same stones to find the master who would help him create the pressure point technique. Now, Zeno walked it, carrying that legacy. After nearly an hour, the trees thinned. A cluster of buildings appeared around a central training yard, larger than expected, with a main house, several outbuildings, and open space that had clearly seen countless hours of training. The mysterious master was already in the yard, moving through a kata. Each motion led seamlessly into the next decades of practice made visible. Zeno stood at the clearing's edge, waiting. Stone had taught him that interrupting a master's practice was disrespectful. When the kata concluded, the man turned. "You came. Good. That shows commitment." He gestured to a building. "Put your pack there, then come back. We'll see what you're actually capable of." When Zeno returned, the master was waiting in a ready stance. "We'll spar. Nothing too intense. You're still recovering from yesterday. But I need to see how you move, how you think, what your father actually taught you." "How do you know my father taught me?" "Because no one learns pressure point techniques from a book or casual instruction. That knowledge requires personal, intensive training from someone who truly understands it." The man settled into a stance. "Now, let's see what you can do. Come at me when you're ready." Zeno took a breath, centered himself, and engaged. The sparring was unlike anything he'd experienced. The master wasn't trying to dominate like Kai had, nor testing pure power like Brick. Instead, he seemed to be reading Zeno. Every strike, every defensive maneuver, every tactical decision. When Zeno attempted a pressure point strike, the master would partially allow it to connect, just enough to feel the technique, before countering smoothly. When Zeno tried Shadow's evasive footwork, the master followed effortlessly, making small adjustments that showed the gaps in Zeno's training. 10 minutes, then it was over. Enough. I've seen what I needed to see. They stood in the yard, and Zeno realized he was breathing hard while the master looked barely winded. "Your fundamentals are incomplete," the man said, not critical. "Just observational. You have 3 distinct training styles layered on top of each other. One taught you defensive survival combat. Another taught you stealth and evasion. A third taught you something about reading people and social manipulation." Zeno's eyes widened. How could he tell all that from one sparring session? But underneath it all is the pressure point technique. That's your foundation, and it's solid but incomplete. Your father taught you well, but he didn't have time to teach you everything, did he? "No," Zeno said quietly. "He died before he could." The master nodded slowly. "And the other 3 teachers, where are they?" "They trained me for 2 months after my family was attacked. They saved my life and prepared me to survive on my own." "I see." The master walked toward the main house, gesturing for Zeno to follow. "Come, we should talk properly." Inside, the dojo's main house was simple but well maintained. Weapons lined the walls, training equipment, not decoration. Books filled shelves. The master prepared tea with practiced efficiency. They sat across from each other in silence until the tea was ready. "So," the master said, taking a sip. "Tell me, why did you come to Forspire?" This was the moment. The question Zeno had been waiting for. "I came looking for someone," Zeno said carefully. "A master my father trusted. Someone he told me to find if I was ever in danger." "And who was this master?" "His name is Kao. Master Kao." The master's hand paused halfway to his cup. For a long moment, he was completely still. "I'm Kao," he said finally. "And why did you come looking for me?" "My father told me to find you if I was ever in danger." He left a note, a list of names, allies and enemies. Your name was circled with instructions to seek you out. Kale's expression shifted. Surprise, curiosity, and something else Zeno couldn't identify. "And may I ask who your father is?" Zeno met his eyes directly. "My father's name is Zenith." The teacup in Kale's hand trembled slightly before he set it down with careful precision. His face went through several emotions in rapid succession: shock, recognition, and then something like joy mixed with disbelief. "Oh, so you're Zenith's son?" His voice grew warmer, almost excited. "How has my old student been after all these years? I haven't heard from him in. He's dead." The words fell like stones into still water. Kale's expression froze. Then the air grew heavy, oppressive, suffocating. An invisible pressure radiated from him, making it difficult to breathe. The teacup on the table began to tremble, ripples spreading across the liquid surface. Outside, birds that had been singing fell silent. Kyle's aura barely contained emotion, compressed into physical presence, expanded outward in waves. In Forspire, people stopped mid-conversation, sensing something wrong. Throughout the forest, animals went still. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the pressure vanished. Kyle's control reasserted itself, pulling the aura back until it was completely contained. But Zeno sat frozen, finally understanding what it meant when people spoke of Master Kyle's legendary power. That momentary loss of control had shown more strength than anything Zeno had witnessed in his life. "What?" Kale's voice was barely a whisper. He seemed unaware of what had just happened, completely focused on Zeno's words. He died 2 months ago. And now that he'd started, the whole story came pouring out. The mission that went wrong, the Raven's warning, the attack on their home, his mother, Luna, fighting to protect them, Iris being kidnapped, the chest wound, Stone, Shadow, and Rose saving his life. KL listened in absolute silence, his face growing more gray with each detail. "Zenith," he said finally, voice rough with emotion. "My best student. The most talented fighter I ever taught." He looked up at Zeno. "And Luna? She's gone too." "She died protecting us." KL stood abruptly and walked to the window, his back to Zeno. For a long moment, he said nothing. "I should have known," KL said finally. "When I saw you using the pressure point technique in the tournament, I should have realized. Zenith was the only one who truly mastered it. The only one who could have taught it properly." He turned back. "Why didn't you tell me who you were when I approached you yesterday?" "I wasn't sure it was you. The note just said Master Kyle in Forspire. He didn't give me your name, because I was curious about who was using Zenith's technique." Kyle returned to the table and sat heavily. "I never imagined it would be his son. That he'd be dead. That his family would be." He couldn't finish. "The people who killed him wanted his technique," Zeno said. "The complete system. They wanted to steal it all. And you're carrying exactly what those people killed for." Kale's expression was grim. "Which means you're in even more danger than I thought. That's why my father told me to find you. He knew I'd need training." Kale was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice carried conflicting emotions. Teaching you is dangerous, Zeno. For both of us. The people who kill Zenith won't stop until they have his technique, or destroy anyone who knows it. He shook his head. But you're right. Zenith wanted you to find me for a reason, and I owe it to him, to his memory, to finish what he couldn't. Kale stood, extended his hand. I'll train you. Everything Zenith taught me, everything he taught himself and created. The complete pressure point system. His grip was firm when Zeno shook his hand. But I warn you now, my training is harder than anything you've experienced. Stone, shadow, and rose prepared your body. I'm going to forge your mind and spirit. I'm ready. We'll see. Kale moved toward the door. Rest today. Recover from the tournament. Tomorrow at dawn, your real training begins. He paused in the doorway. Your father was more than just my student. He was like a son to me. Teaching you, it's the least I can do to honor his memory. After Kale left, Zeno sat alone in the quiet dojo, letting everything sink in. He'd found Master Kale. The mysterious figure from his father's note was real, and he'd known Zenith, cared about him, mourned his loss. Tomorrow, the training would begin in earnest. The path ahead was clearer now, and every day he trained brought him closer to being strong enough to find Iris. The real journey was just beginning.